March 10, 1931. Manchester, England. Rain falls on red brick factories that no longer breathe. Chimneys stand frozen. Looms sit silent. The world's most powerful industrial city has stopped moving. This is not the aftermath of a war. No bombs fell here. No armies marched through these streets. And yet, the empire's engine is dead. 7,000 miles away, in a land Britain once considered helpless, a man in a loincloth turned clothing into a weapon, salt into rebellion, and profit into poison. He didn't attack British soldiers. He didn't sink British ships. He attacked the balance sheet. This is not the story of how the British Empire lost India politically. This is the story of how Mahatma Gandhi made empire unprofitable. Welcome to Cinematic History Stories, where power is exposed, empires are dismantled, and history is told the way it actually happened. Cold rain needles down through a sky the color of wet ash. Cobblestones shine like black glass. The canals are swollen and silent, their iron bridges rusting at the seams. A mill bell that once governed the lives of thousands hangs mute above a locked gate. Inside the brick cathedral of industry, looms stand frozen mid-motion, threads slack, oil drying on steel teeth. The air smells of damp cotton and abandonment. This city, once the loudest engine on earth, has gone quiet. You can feel it in your chest before you understand it. The absence. No thunder of machines. No steam hissing from pipes. No shift change pouring bodies into the street. Just men in caps standing with hands in pockets, waiting for work that will not come. They don't know the name of the man who did this. Or maybe they do, and they don't want to say it out loud. Because the shockwave that emptied these mills began 7,000 miles away, on a dusty road in western India, with a man in a loincloth and a wooden wheel. To understand how this happened, you have to treat Manchester like a crime scene. You have to ask the first, simplest question: where did the money come from? In the 19th century, Manchester was not merely a city. It was a machine. An organism that consumed raw cotton and exhaled power. The cotton arrived from across the seas, bales stamped with Indian marks, hauled by dockworkers in Liverpool, thrown onto trains bound east. In mills like these, under skylights filmed with soot, the cotton was carded, spun, woven, and cut at speeds no human hand could match. The cloth rolled out by the mile. Shirts, dresses, uniforms, flags. The fabric of an empire. But this machine had a secret. It did not create wealth out of nothing. It rearranged it. Before the smokestacks, before the steam engines, before the iron rails, the world's finest cloth did not come from England. It came from India. In the early 18th century, India is an industrial power. Not a colony. Not a backwater. A manufacturing giant controlling roughly a quarter of the global economy. Its heart beats in textiles. In Bengal, in Dhaka, in Murshidabad, master weavers work looms refined over centuries. Their muslin is so fine Europeans call it woven air. A full-length dress slides through a ring. Royal courts in Versailles and London compete to wear it. Merchants arrive not to teach, but to learn, to buy, to marvel, to profit. The British at first come humbly, hats in hand. The East India Company is a trading firm, nothing more. But trade is only phase one. Guns come next. As the Industrial Revolution ignites in England, inventors, Arkwright, Hargreaves, build machines that spin cotton faster than any artisan alive. But speed is not everything. Early British cloth is coarse, stiff, inferior. In a fair market, it cannot compete with Indian textiles. Manchester should lose. So the market is not allowed to be fair. Power replaces price. Law replaces competition. The East India Company, now a territorial ruler with armies and prisons, rigs the system. Indian cloth entering Britain is strangled with tariffs. British cloth entering India is waved through duty-free. Contracts are enforced at gunpoint. Weavers are compelled to sell at losses. Looms are confiscated. Workshops are destroyed. Accounts from the period read like dispatches from a war zone. Artisans beaten. Families ruined. Skills extinguished in a single generation. Whether the stories of severed thumbs are literal or symbolic, the effect is the same. The hands that clothed the world are silenced. In 1834, Governor-General William Bentinck writes words that should echo forever. The bones of the cotton weavers are bleaching the plains of India. It is not metaphor. It is inventory. The survivors are pushed back onto the land they do not own, turned into peasants growing cotton they will never wear. The raw fiber is shipped to England. The value is added there. The profits remain there. The finished cloth is shipped back and sold to the very people whose industry was annihilated. This is the drain. A closed loop of extraction so efficient it looks eternal. By the mid-19th century, the transformation is complete. India is no longer a manufacturer. It is a supplier. Manchester thrives. Its mills run day and night. Its chimneys blacken the sky. Its owners build mansions and endow museums. Britain rules a quarter of humanity and congratulates itself on free trade. But every machine has a pressure point. Every empire has a dependency. And by the early 20th century, a thin, bespectacled lawyer returning from South Africa is about to put his finger exactly there. He will not attack the soldiers. He will not storm the offices. He will not fire a shot. He will ask a different question. What happens if India stops buying? The machine looks eternal until someone asks who is feeding it. January 9, 1915. Apollo Bunder, Bombay. The harbor air is thick with salt and coal smoke. Steamships groan against the docks. Dockworkers pause mid-heave as a thin man steps onto the pier. He is 45 years old, balding, wrapped in a simple shawl. No entourage. No ceremony. Just a leather bag and a quiet gaze that takes everything in. Mohandas Karamchand Gandhi has come home. He walks through Bombay's streets and what he sees is not just poverty, it is structure. Children with distended bellies. Weavers sitting idle beside broken looms. Farmers trapped in debt cycles that never end. And over it all, the invisible hand of a system that extracts without mercy. Others see injustice. Gandhi sees accounting. The British Raj presents itself as a government. Courts, railways, police. Gandhi understands it differently. This is not a state in the classical sense. It is a business. A multinational corporation with an army. And like any business, it exists for one reason only: profit. As long as India pays, Britain stays. That realization changes everything. Revolutions before him have focused on power. Seize the capital, topple the ruler, replace the flag. Gandhi focuses on cash flow. He asks a question no viceroy expects. Where does the money come from, and how do we stop it? The answer stares him in the face every day. Cloth. British textiles are everywhere. In offices. In schools. In courtrooms. Indian elites wear Manchester suits as symbols of status. Even the poor scrape together coins to buy mill-made fabric because there is no alternative left. The conqueror does not just rule the land, he dresses the body. Gandhi understands the psychological depth of this. Clothing is intimate. It touches the skin. It signals identity. If he can change what people wear, he can change how they think. He begins with a message that sounds absurd to modern ears. He tells people to spin their own cloth. Not as a hobby, as a weapon. The cloth is called khadi, hand-spun, hand-woven, rough, uneven. It scratches. It lacks the polish of industrial fabric. But Gandhi does not apologize for that. He elevates it. Khadi is not inferior, he says. It is honest. Every thread represents labor not exploited, profit not siphoned, dignity not sold. Then he does something radical. He wears it. The barristers' suits vanish. The stiff collars disappear. Gandhi reduces his wardrobe to a simple loincloth and shawl. Not as theater, but as alignment. He refuses to wear anything he cannot make, or that someone in his village cannot make. And he spins. Every day. In meetings. In public. In silence. The charka, the spinning wheel, whirs softly as diplomats argue around him. Cameras capture the image. A man who looks like a peasant performing an act that looks medieval, challenging the most advanced industrial power on earth. The British do not take it seriously. At first. Winston Churchill sneers from London, calling him a half-naked fakir. Officials joke over gin and tonics. How can a wooden wheel threaten steam engines? How can homespun cloth compete with mechanized looms? They misunderstand the battlefield. Gandhi is not competing with Manchester. He is canceling it. He frames the choice in moral terms so stark it becomes social law. To wear British cloth is not neutral. It is collaboration. Every imported shirt is an endorsement of famine. Every bolt of Manchester fabric is a vote against Indian survival. The message spreads slowly, then all at once. In Bombay, Calcutta, Madras, bonfires are built in public squares. Lawyers arrive carrying expensive suits. Merchants bring silk dresses. Students throw in their uniforms. The flames rise, devouring millions of rupees worth of imported cloth. Crowds chant. The smoke carries something new, defiance. This is not symbolic destruction. It is market destruction. Orders from India begin to fall. At first, the drop is small, an anomaly, blamed on unrest. But the trend continues. Warehouses in Manchester fill. Inventory piles up. Cash flow tightens. Mill owners send nervous letters to Parliament. By the early 1920s, the boycott hardens into doctrine. The Indian National Congress adopts it formally. Shops selling foreign cloth are picketed. Women take the lead, standing in doorways, blocking entrances, pleading with customers. Some lie down in the street so buyers must step over them. Many turn back. Social pressure does what police cannot. Shopkeepers stop stocking British goods because they cannot sell them. Imports plunge. In some years, British textile exports to India fall by more than half. In Lancashire, the consequences are immediate and brutal. Shifts are cut. Mills go from 24 hours to 3 days a week. Then they close. The chimneys go cold. Tens of thousands are thrown out of work. Families line up for soup. Men who have never known another trade stand idle, staring at locked gates. British newspapers rage. Gandhi is blamed for starving English workers. Politicians try to pit labor against India. But the anger creates a problem London cannot ignore. Riots in Delhi can be suppressed. Unemployment in Manchester votes. Gandhi has forced the empire into a cost-benefit crisis. India is no longer a guaranteed profit center. It is becoming a liability. And then, in a move that shocks everyone, Gandhi decides to walk straight into the wreckage. He asks to visit Lancashire. Gandhi has turned the boycott into an economic weapon. Now he walks into its blast radius. September 15, 1931. Darwin, Lancashire. Low clouds scrape the rooftops. The mills loom like fortresses of red brick, their windows dark, their chimneys cold. Outside the gates, men and women gather in wool coats worn thin at the elbows. Some clutch union pamphlets. Others clutch nothing at all. A rumor moves through the crowd first. Then a ripple. Then silence. He is smaller than they expect. Mohandas Gandhi steps out of a modest car, wrapped in a white shawl against the northern cold. No police cordon. No armored escort. Just his sandals on wet stone. The man many newspapers have labeled the destroyer of Lancashire industry has come to face the people whose livelihoods have collapsed. British officials are terrified. They have warned him not to come. They fear violence, fists, stones, worse. Why wouldn't these workers hate him? Their mills are closed. Their children are hungry. Their city is dying. But something else happens. The crowd does not surge forward in anger. It leans in, curious. Faces soften. A few women smile. Someone starts clapping. Then more hands join. The sound spreads, hesitant at first, then steady. Gandhi bows his head. This moment breaks the script London has written. He walks through the streets, past boarded-up shops and idle canals. He visits workers' homes, small, cold, crowded. He sits on wooden chairs at kitchen tables. Tea is poured. Silence stretches. Then questions come, direct and unvarnished. Why are you doing this to us? Gandhi does not evade it. He answers plainly. He tells them about Indian villages where there is no dole, no soup kitchen, no safety net. He describes families surviving on a single meal of rice, if that. He explains that the average Indian earns in a year what a British worker earns in a week, even when unemployed. He looks at them and says words that land with unexpected weight. I am pained by your suffering. But in India, we have no food at all. There is no accusation in his voice. Only arithmetic. He explains that he is not their enemy. The system is. A system that pitted Indian weaver against English mill worker, extracting profit from both while protecting neither. A system that demanded India remain poor so Britain could remain rich. One union leader listens, nodding slowly. Then he speaks for many in the room. Mr. Gandhi, I see now. We are suffering, but you are suffering more. Outside, the press cameras click. Photographs capture something unprecedented. Unemployed British women smiling beside the man accused of ruining them. One holds his arm. Another leans close, laughing at something he has said. The image travels the world. The visit is a masterstroke. It destroys the caricature of Gandhi as an economic saboteur. He emerges instead as a moral adversary, one who understands suffering on both sides and refuses to retreat anyway. And that is the key. Gandhi does not promise to stop the boycott. He does not offer compromise. He leaves Lancashire with the workers' respect, and Manchester's mills still closed. Back in India, the message is clear. The boycott works. It hurts. And it is forcing the empire to reveal its priorities. The British government now faces a dilemma with no clean exit. Reopen the mills, and India must be subdued, at enormous cost. Let the boycott continue, and domestic pressure grows. Before they can recover, Gandhi opens a second front. This time, the target is not cloth. It is salt. Something so small, so ordinary, so essential that every human being understands its value instantly. January 26, 1930. Sabarmati Ashram, Gujarat. Morning light cuts across the riverbank. Gandhi stands barefoot, holding a walking staff. 78 followers line up behind him. No banners. No weapons. Just resolve. He announces his intention to break the British salt law. The law is simple and monstrous. In British India, salt, naturally abundant along thousands of miles of coastline, is a government monopoly. Indians are forbidden to collect it themselves. They must buy it from the state, taxed at more than 2,000% above production cost. This is not a luxury tax. It is a tax on survival. In a tropical climate, salt loss through sweat can kill. The poorest laborers pay the highest price. The revenue funds the police who beat them and the prisons that hold them. Gandhi understands the genius and the cruelty of the tax. It is financially efficient and morally indefensible. If he can break it, he can drain another artery of imperial revenue, and expose the absurdity of a foreign power claiming ownership of the sea. Congress leaders are skeptical. Salt seems trivial compared to independence. Gandhi ignores them. He knows mass movements are built on simple truths. Everyone needs salt. He starts walking. Day after day, mile after mile, Gandhi marches toward the Arabian Sea. Villagers pour out to see him. The press follows. International journalists send dispatches describing an aging man turning a law into a farce through sheer persistence. The British hesitate. Arrest him now, and he becomes a martyr. Let him continue, and authority dissolves in public view. They choose to wait. On April 6, 1930, Gandhi reaches the coastal village of Dandi. At dawn, he steps into the surf. Waves soak his ankles. He bends down and lifts a lump of salty mud from the shore. With that gesture, he breaks the law. Across India, the signal is received. From Karachi to Madras, millions follow suit. Sea water boils in pots. Salt crusts are scraped from rocks. Illegal markets open in daylight. Police batons fall. Jails overflow with 60,000 prisoners. But the salt keeps coming. The monopoly collapses. The revenue vanishes. And with it, the illusion that Britain can govern without consent. The empire is now bleeding from two wounds, textiles and salt. And the bill is about to come due. The salt monopoly is broken. The cloth boycott holds. The empire is no longer feared, and worse, it is no longer profitable. August 9, 1942. Bombay. 3 a.m. Police trucks grind to a halt outside Gawalia Tank Maidan. Floodlights snap on. Boots hit the pavement. Doors are kicked in across the city. By sunrise, nearly the entire leadership of the Indian National Congress is gone. Gandhi is arrested in his sleep. The British believe this will end it. Cut off the head. Silence the voice. Restore order. Instead, they trigger the final accounting. The Quit India movement explodes without centralized leadership. Rail lines are sabotaged. Telegraph wires are cut. Offices stop functioning. Workers refuse cooperation. Students vanish into underground networks. Entire districts become ungovernable. To maintain control, Britain must now pay for India instead of extracting from it. The balance sheet collapses. Police numbers swell. Prison populations explode. Emergency laws multiply. Every rupee spent enforcing obedience is a rupee not earned. The cloth revenues are gone. The salt tax is unenforceable. Liquor taxes, another colonial cash cow, are under attack by Gandhian temperance campaigns. For the first time in 2 centuries, India costs more than it pays. Then comes the Second World War. Britain is fighting for survival. Cities burn under German bombs. Gold reserves drain away. The empire calls on India for men, materials, money. India delivers, but on credit. By 1945, Britain is bankrupt. Not metaphorically. Literally. It owes billions to the United States. And it owes billions more to India itself. The sterling balances, unpaid debts for wartime extraction that Britain cannot repay. The jewel in the crown is no longer an asset. It is a liability Britain cannot afford to service. The Royal Navy still floats. The army still exists. But power without profit is just expense. In Whitehall, the calculations are cold and unavoidable. Holding India now requires constant force, permanent unrest, endless cost. There is no business case left. On August 15, 1947, the Union Jack comes down. The transfer of power is framed as political generosity, constitutional evolution, imperial maturity. It is none of those things. It is liquidation. Gandhi does not attend the celebrations. He walks alone in Bengal, trying to stop communal violence. He does not see independence as victory. He sees it as responsibility. He has bankrupted an empire, but now India must build something in its place. The spinning wheel becomes a national symbol. Self-reliance becomes doctrine. But victory carries paradox. India's suspicion of large-scale industrialization slows modernization. Protecting village looms saves livelihoods, but seeds global markets. The economic war is won. The peace proves harder. In Britain, the consequences unfold quietly. Manchester never recovers. The mills close one by one. Machinery is scrapped or shipped overseas. Communities hollow out. What were once roaring engines become silent shells, brick mausoleums to a vanished order. For decades, resentment lingers. People remember the jobs, not the system that destroyed others to sustain them. Then history catches up. In 2019, a bronze statue of Gandhi is unveiled in Manchester, near the cathedral. He stands smiling, wrapped in cloth that once terrified an empire. Some protest. Many more understand. The statue is not an apology. It is recognition. Recognition that the prosperity of one people was built on the enforced poverty of another. Recognition that the mill worker in Lancashire and the weaver in Bengal were bound to the same machine, and discarded by it in turn. Gandhi's true legacy is not sainthood. It is strategy. He proved that empires do not fall only to armies. They fall when participation is withdrawn. When consumers refuse. When the exploited stop cooperating in their own extraction. He showed that the wallet is a weapon. This lesson echoes through history. In Montgomery, Alabama, when black citizens stopped riding segregated buses, companies nearly collapsed, and the laws changed. In South Africa, global boycotts strangled apartheid's economy when bullets could not. These movements did not invent economic resistance. They inherited it. From a man with a spinning wheel who understood supply chains before the world had a name for them. Today, we live inside systems just as vast, globalized, abstract, seemingly unstoppable. We wear clothes stitched by hands we will never see. We consume without asking who pays the price. Gandhi's question still waits for an answer. What happens when we say no? The mills of Manchester are silent now. The empire is gone. But the lesson remains, clear, uncomfortable, and powerful. If you want to break an empire, don't shoot its soldiers. Bankrupt its shareholders. I'm David. This is Cinematic History Stories. If you think this story is wrong, explain where. If you think it's right, explain why. Because history doesn't repeat itself, but it remembers who understood how power really works.